What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with some more pickups. And so yesterday was New Comic Book Day. Hopefully everybody got out there to get their new comic books, or at least new to them comic books, and were able to read them as well. Because, hey, that's what it's intended to be. Not just a collection of a bunch of books and whatnots, but read them. So it's great art, great story. So, if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And what's going on, Warlord? How are you doing today, sir? And hit that bell notification that when things like this drop in the future, you will be one of the first people to know. Mr. Gorell, how are you today, sir? But so yeah, I just thought I'd go live for just a little bit and show some of the new comic book day pickups and some thoughts as to about them. I was able to read them yesterday as well. I also did want to put a little plug in for Friday. Friday, I am going live to give away Uncanny X-Men 266 because we did hit the 450 subscriber mark on YouTube. And how am I going to make you jealous today? Well, I don't know that I have any Star Wars, but I have some other things. First off, I can show this one right here. This is Bloodshot #1. This is a Perillo variant, Virgin variant of this, and it is signed by. And you can't really see it probably on the back, but but it's kind of a picture of Bloodshot in the background on that black. But really awesome Perillo. I picked this up from Jellyfingers Comics. He was selling this with some of the Jabroni family auction money going to that. And so I picked that up from them. Perillo is from Europe, and so he does not get over to sign many comics. That's the Comics Elite exclusive. I don't know if he did that in-house or where they got it from, but his signature is a little harder to get than some of the guys that are already over that. Thank you. So I've got an even more exciting announcement, obviously, for everybody that's commented on my video. By the time I go live Friday on any of my new videos, I'll read all the stuff. But if somebody wants to put hashtag Gambit on there, it will certainly more stand out. They're going to be entered on the wheel to win that Uncanny X-Men 266. But at that time, I'm also going to be announcing what the next giveaway is going to be, which is an even bigger one. So stay tuned for that. So let's talk about new comic books. So my pick of the week would have to be Batman: The Three Jokers. This story was one that was a long time coming, several years, as a matter of fact, when it was teased that there were three Jokers that Batman had been facing all this time. And Jeff Johns, who's not exactly known for writing stuff on time, i.e. Watchmen, I know he's got other irons in the fire, and certainly that is why that is the case. What's going on, Comic Mag Musings? Yes. So that's what I was going to say. I mean, great story. If you are a Batman, just a slight Batman fan, you'll think it's okay. All right, so no problems there. But if you have read Batman a long time, then you will catch all the little nuggets that he drops throughout the story, all the little stuff that Batman's picked up along the way, and you go, oh, I remember when that happened. And so much that they put a character out that I just so happened to have gotten his first appearance of not that long ago on an auction. But he's on there, and then he gets, well, I'm not going to say what happens just in case you haven't read it. I don't want to do any spoilers for you there. Hidden Gem Comics, how are you doing today? But I don't want to spoil it. But then there at the end, how the Joker starts playing and the word games that he's playing with Jason Todd, how he talks back to Barbara Gordon. I mean, just the whole chemistry with the whole thing was fantastic. It was definitely. So if you haven't picked it up, be sure to pick it up. You don't have to be a sucker like me and want to get all the covers, but I did get this one, the Crowbar cover, which is a callback, of course, to when our Death in the Family. And I was able to pick up this one, Jason Fabok. Of course, he's got a good first name, but he's an awesome Batman artist. And so Jeff Johns knows how to weave a story, and together, it's just fire. I'm sad that it's only 3 issues, but at the same time, I'm glad because that way DC can stop taking so much of my money. Yeah, so I was able to pick up the fish variant, the one where Joker is holding the Joker fish. And then also I picked up the one where he's pulling up the Red Hood, so all you see is his smile from HGM Law. I know, right? So HGM Law was telling me that he had the other cover, so I picked up those 2 that I just mentioned from him. And he had the incentive cover and then the 1 in 100 black and white, which is the black and white of this cover right here. Now I'm thinking about getting the green one because it's kind of cool, but the black and white, because it's a little more pricey, I think I'm just going to go without. But yeah, they've got the Batgirl and the Red Hood one coming out, and so those are definitely going to be a fire as well. And if issue 1 is any indication of what 2 and 3 are going to be, it's going to be a really cool series. I thought at first that DC might actually put this into canon, depending on how it was received. However, with the way it's lined out, I don't foresee that now because Red Hood is wearing the New 52 outfit, Red Hood, not the one that he's wearing currently. Alfred, I believe, is still alive in the story, so there's just a couple of things that wouldn't fit. Now, that doesn't mean they don't take elements from this. The fact that there are 3 Jokers, not necessarily that they've been killed already. Maybe they turn around and reuse that story again in canon, but who knows? So that was definitely my pick of the week. So I've been finding, of course, there is the Joker War going on. So that is definitely a cash grab for me. But I have been finding I've been buying more DC. The other thing being that DC has been more forthcoming with their titles than Marvel has. So I know that plays into it as well. But I got Batgirl 48. It's an okay story. It wasn't as good as the other one where she battled the Joker. She was able to connect with Luke Fox. They got her back fixed. I kind of thought from the last issue that she was not going to be able to walk, that they were going to kind of put her back in that Oracle stance and let somebody else take up the Batgirl mantle. Something's fixing to happen with her brother again, because he's like, hey, I'm turning over a new leaf, yada, yada. But, nobody seems to believe it. And which is really interesting because everybody is so ready to give all these villains a second chance, but not ready to give him a second chance when obviously he's mental. But anyway, so it was an okay read. Then we got Batman Detective Comics 1026. So I've started picking up Detective Comics and seemed to be a consistent read. Peter Tomasi doing the writing on that. So he's one of those consistent writers, not necessarily my favorite, but consistent writer, and consistency is worth something. So when you're paying $3.99 a book, you like to at least have a good story. Not necessarily a great story, blow your socks off type story, but you want to have a good story. And so that's what Tomasi seems to deliver every time. This is one of those one-offs. You could have done without, it's got Joker War on there, Collateral Damage, but you don't have to necessarily have this one to know the full story. And it's just this nice little one-shot, nice little story, and it was okay. I would have preferred the B cover because I can't remember the guy's name that does the B covers right now, but he has been killing it on those covers. I asked for the B cover. Unfortunately, my local comic shop did not deliver on that one. So Red Hood and the Outlaws 48. So this is a Joker War tie-in, and so you could do without this one if you're just, I don't think you would miss much. Red Hood goes in there. He's fixed to kick butt, take names. Punchline and Nightwing show up, and Nightwing beats him down because Red Hood's trying to fight or trying to save who he thinks is Dula Dent, Harvey Dent's daughter, or she calls herself Joker's daughter. But anyhow, it kind of sets up or ties into the last part of the Batman issue where they call Barbara Gordon, or they trying to set everybody up to fight each other and to fight Nightwing. Nightwing, they keep mentioning that he's holding back, so it leads me to believe that he's trying to fight in his mind the Joker's mental manipulations. And of course, I've seen a future cover for Batman that shows him in full-on Nightwing gear, which leads me to believe he finally breaks it and is able to go back to being Dick Grayson. None of this Rick Grayson crap, none of this Joker son garbage, but finally be able to break free of it and move on from it. And maybe that's how they're going to get rid of this whole Rick Grayson stuff, is to say, hey, he finally broke it and he's all back to normal, being, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, old Robin type guy, and all that other Rick Grayson stuff. It's garbage and gone bye-bye. Maybe he won't remember even remember that side of his time. But Punchline is definitely keying up to be a major villain. Now, whether or not she gets killed off in the end, I highly doubt it. I know her and Harley are going to go back at it again, but if she's selling books, there is no way DC is going to kill her off, or at least leave her dead. Weapon X, good morning, sir. How are you doing today? So I pick up Red Hood each and every month. They had originally acted like they were going to cancel the series. Now what I'm reading is it's just going to be Red Hood. No more Outlaws. It's been Red Hood and the Outlaws, 2 different sets of Outlaws, and then also Red Hood and an Arsenal at one point. But it's just going to be Red Hood. So Scott Lobdell is not going to be on that title anymore, who is the writer. They're putting somebody else on, and I think they might be going with even a different artist. And so they're taking them in a new direction. I was watching a video the other day, and they made mention, it was a good point, and that was that right now with the stuff that's coming out that ties Red Hood, like the video game and things like that, then right now him and Batgirl, Nightwing, those are all pretty safe properties, because DC is going to try to get that continuity to where one feeds off another, and they're not going to try to mess up Red Hood when Red Hood's going to be one of the things they try to hype the video game up with. And same thing with Batgirl and Nightwing. So again, it kind of leads me back to Dick Grayson and him going back to being what everybody seemed to like, and get rid of that whole Rick Grayson garbage. So because they're wanting to key in for the video game. So Red Hood is a decent read. We'll see how the new guy does. I picked up a couple of free comic books, Only a Matter of Space Time. Don't know anything about it. Dark One, it's another one, not sure of. Did look interesting, so I will probably read it. Then we've got Best of 2000 AD, so I think this is on Judge Dredd. And then we've got Marvel previews, the Eternals. Now, I'm not a big Eternals fan. I did not hop on the Eternals bandwagon like everybody else and pick up a copy of Eternals 1, even though I did not hop on that bandwagon and pick it up. And, of course, now Marvel's stalling out. David Ewing, how's it going today? It is stalling out. I did see where Marvel has basically laid the gauntlet down. I read an article, so it's not gospel. You don't believe everything you hear on the internet or read on the internet, but I did read an article that basically was saying that Disney came out and said, hey, look, our customers are number one, and we've lost a lot of money. It's only because we invested a lot into Disney Plus that we got our butt saved last quarter. We don't want to lose more money. So if you hack off any of our customers on social media and things of that nature, you're gone. You're out of here. And so hopefully that is a sign of good things to come. So they will not be. What's going on, Ben Compton, Ruben Guzman, Cowabunga, dude. And just for that, I'm going to have to show that one off just for that, and because it was right there. But yeah, so Flashpoint Comics, what's going on, man? I did not pick up the latest issue of Flash, although I was tempted to. The cover was kind of cool. I want to pick up that Dark Knights death metal that's got that Finch does, that's got them on the cover, but I hadn't picked it up yet. But so hopefully that's a good sign of things to come, that Disney will go back to trying to worry about making money. So Flashpoint was a good read. Have you read it yet, or are you just saying that because you're a Flash fan? But yeah, so hopefully Disney will go back to just trying to make quality content to customer, and not so worried about trying to make statements, being social justice warriors and the like. And they'll say, hey, we're going to try to make content for the people that buy our stuff. And we're not just going to try to, send out these special, messages regardless of what people think. So the people like Brie Larson, and what's the guy's name that played Finn in Star Wars, it was like, hey, dude, cut it out or you're gone, you're out of here. And everybody wants to work for Disney. Gone are the days where people didn't want to be part of a superhero franchise because, that would ruin their career. Disney owns everything. And so if you hack off Disney, you're out of luck. So I hope that is setting a trend. Flashpoint asks, what print is that? Turtles. And it is a great read. Yes, it is a great read. I hope that's not the case. AT&T is really putting the clamp down on DC, and I hope that they take a page to say, hey, what have we done wrong, or what could we do better? And to be honest with you, from the DC that I've read, which is limited, I will admit, but from the DC that I've read, I've never gotten that vibe as much as I got from Marvel. Every Marvel comic book has got something to say about some social justice deal that they've got going on. I don't read that in DC. And so, that's one of the reasons that I'm like, hey, Flash is going to be a great read. Okay. Death Metal is sick. It is a fun read. It's probably going to set things up. I don't know what it's going to rewrite in the DC continuity, but it's a fun read. And dig the art. The collaboration between Scott Snyder and Capullo is great. They're both really nice guys if you've ever met them. And, I just really enjoyed the read. I've gotten the Batman with the guitar, and I got the Superman. I have yet to get the Wonder Woman, but I'm planning on picking up that one. I want to get the Batman with the motorcycle as well. I almost picked it up on an auction on YouTube last night. They want to have a diverse universe instead of using the characters they have. Let's make new ones. Well, so originally, and this is all conjecture, right? Because nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes except those people behind the scenes. But originally, they were going to, in 5G, to my understanding, that they were going to, this is the new generation. Of course, I think they were playing off of AT&T's 5G technology as well. But they were saying, hey, this is the new set. The old set's going to go away. Very similar to the way Marvel did Marvel Now, when they introduced Kamala Khan, which has a following. So she's one of the successful parts of that. And other characters, and kind of push the old ones aside. I think that's in large part because Brian Michael Bendis was in there. And of course he was there at Marvel Now during that time. And I think that was a large part because he had a big say in it. I don't know that he's going to have as big of a say because AT&T does not care about, the historical accuracy of a character. It will rewrite it if it thinks it can make money with it. It cares about that bottom line. But what sells those comics is caring about the customer, which goes back to the history of the character. And so the history of the character, I think that you're much better served, if you want to do all this other stuff, is to kind of test market it into the Black Label, which to my understanding is now what they're going to do. So they're going to put like Luke Fox, which is Batwing, in Black Label. They'll probably see how well it's received. If it's received well, similar to what I was talking about with the Three Jokers earlier, they'll put it back into continuity in some form or fashion. But test market it. Very similar to the way Marvel did back in the day with Marvel Spotlight. So Marvel Spotlight, they put the Guardians of the Galaxy out there. They put Moon Knight out there to see if these characters' stories would sell well enough to warrant a series for themselves. And those that did, they moved on and got it, right? Marvel Premiere, I think, did that as well. So I think that's what they're going to do. And that's the thing you got to do. You always got to be constantly coming up with new characters. My argument's been that they haven't come up with a fresh character that is not a derivative of another one in 20 plus years. That's a problem. I don't think as a whole that Marvel or DC is going to put a lot of money into that, which has given rise to all the independent storylines. But I think they're going to have to do it at least to some degree, and maybe test marketing it in the Black Label, which gives them a little more fluidity just to play with the character because they're not in the middle of continuity and worried about that. And Black Label seems to be doing well that they will be able to do that. What's going on, T-Pain? How are you? And so I accidentally hit the email deal there. Yeah, the hurricanes come your way yet? Yes, they did. I am on the east side of the storm, which is typically the more dangerous side of the storm. I'm far enough away from the coast that the hurricane is not as big of an issue as the tornadoes that it spawns. And so it did make landfall early this morning in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So prayers and thoughts out to those people who are over there on that side of Louisiana. But it is moving north. And as it does, it is bringing us rain. As long as it's just rain, we're good. And the tornadoes are another thing altogether. But so far, so good with that. So I'm kind of wondering what's the deal with the Eternals. And I was just mentioning the fact that Marvel has come out and said, hey, look, we're tired of making statements. We want to make money because Disney is really coming down on us. Are they going to scrap Eternals or push it back to the point to where it's a couple years removed and they probably rewrite the whole thing? Because Eternals was a risky venture, and one can argue Guardians of the Galaxy was as too, and I would say that's a good argument. But in this day, this Corona age, where some bottom lines have really been shook, I don't know that people are willing to put those $1 million bets out there like they had been. So I think to start things back off for Marvel, that they would be better off using a tested and true property, the tested and true property that people have bought into, not with the Eternals, because it's very niche, and with the Eternals, my vibe from that was going to be all these little innuendos and stuff that just don't sell that stuff. So I think that they're going to get rid of, and this is all, everybody's got their opinion, or at least two, and they're like armpits. Some of them stink. But I think that in Captain Marvel, they're going to get rid of Brie Larson. I think that's their out, to get rid of her and move on and introduce Kamala Khan. And so I think that's also where they're going to introduce Rogue. Or another good, instead of Kamala Khan, which they put in the video game, which leads me to believe that she's going to be on the big screen because they like to have that synergies with all their properties. What's going on, Samuel David? But they can introduce Kamala Khan there. They could introduce let's see, is it Spectre or what's her name? Oh boy. Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau. I'm thinking about it in a minute. But she could be, because I think she survived the snap, and if she did, then she's 5 years older, and so then she is older enough to be a part of some either super teen team, or be a superhero. But I think that they're going to write Brie Larson out of the deal, and instead of getting a new Captain Marvel, they're going to introduce the other Captain Marvels, and then from that point they can bring Rogue into it, which would be a good segue moving into the Marvel X-Men. So I think that they know that, hey, we've got the X-Men and the Marvel Fantastic Four properties there. They're going to look for ways to incorporate that, similar to the way they did the Avengers. They're going to piecemeal it together until they finally have the team. And so I think that's how they're going to do it. But hey, I've been wrong before. Jehu Creative, how are you doing today? So I'm kind of wondering if they're pushing back the Eternals because and all that stuff is related. And but they are releasing a Eternals 1, and it's got 100 cotton picking variants. And so who knows? But those are definitely maybe they're going to use the comics to see if the Eternals are going to be good sellers. But you see all these variant covers right here. Usually you have variant covers of big, solid properties. I know there'll probably be a lot with this X of Swords that's coming out with the X-Men, but that's understood. So I was going to point out this. Of course, this looks to be pretty cool, this Black, White, and Blood Wolverine. But check that out, the return of Donald Blake. So Thor #9. So it seems like Cates is setting things up to kick it old school a little bit and bring back Donald Blake. Is he going to be the Thor like he used to be, how he used to have to tap the cane to become Thor? Is that how Thor's going to be able to lift the hammer? Because it's gotten harder and harder as of late to lift that hammer. So definitely digging Kate's writings on Thor. I know a lot of people are digging in on Venom. I've kind of cut that side of it off because that's just another giant place to spend a bunch of money, and I've already spent elsewhere. So I did pick up some Marvel comics, and that is X-Men #11. This was a pretty good read. It's starting to set up a couple of things. Exodus is talking, I think, and trying to brainwash, really, the kids to believe that Magneto is their savior. Magneto goes all BA on folks and tears them down. He's got this plan as they're attacking. He just drops a satellite on this guy, and the guy comes back out and he just drops another one on him. So that was really cool. He pulled the old school Magneto outfit out, not the white one, but the red one. And so that was really awesome. And but at the setting up for the fall of Krakoa is what it amounts to. We all knew that this was not going to last, and it looks like the Krakoa is fixing to go away. There is Thor's and Eternal trade out. Very expensive. Okay. Let's see. 27 Eternal covers equals desperation to squeeze the shelves and get sales dollars. Well, and you're exactly right. Because how else are they going to get it? Is it going to be because of the story? Because I don't know that there are a lot of people out there that are tied to the Eternals. That, oh man, I grew up reading the Eternals. It was awesome. Really? Does anybody say that? I don't think so. It's not like Batman or X-Men or Avengers or Spider-Man. These are not tried and true characters that people have an emotional attachment to. So you can't help but think it's a very big cash grab. They're trying to come back from the whole shutdown deal. They're trying to ramp things up because I can imagine their sales are pretty off right now. Let's see what I'm a Kirby guy, but yeah. Well, hey, hold on until they release the movie and then release it the day they release the movie. Let's say reprinting the Eternal Saga from Thor. Okay. So that was a pretty cool read. So if you're into X-Men, especially Magneto, this would be a pretty good read for you. Then we got X-Men God Love, Man Kills. This is part 2 of the 2-part series, originally printed in a graphic novel form. Marvel, again, bringing back the old story. And you can tell it's an old story, not just the art and how it's colored and everything, but you can tell the old story because stories these days are not as wordy as what this is. And I don't say that in a negative deal. A lot of times, I feel like comics these days are not wordy enough because people just like to look at pictures. But this is definitely tells the story of Stryker, which a lot of X-Men 2 kind of come from this. What's going on, Who Dat? Just a bunch of rain, man. Tornado watches, no tornado warnings. Hopefully you ain't got to have a boat yet down that way. We're both on the east side of the storm, which is the worst side of the storm, but hopefully all we get is rain. It's going to be a lot of rain, and that could lead to be the issue, but hopefully not. Hopefully it'll keep on moving out. Yeah. So glad I wasn't in Lake Charles, that's for sure. And of course, know some people over that way, and then on over into Texas, Port Arthur, and that area over there. So definitely got a bunch of rain over that way. But this was a pretty good story. I liked it. Of course, this is kind of the whole setup of X-Men. Chris Claremont did it back in the day, so it makes sense that the whole deal with the X-Men is that mankind hates them just for being born that way, and they're constantly fighting against that hatred. That's always been their deal. Sometimes more than others, but for the Chris Claremont era forward, that's really been the major calling. Magneto comes in, helps them out. Hey, I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. I'm the enemy of these people. It was funny though in there that Cyclops makes a speech at one point that says, "Hey, all we are is humans. Okay, we're humans. We're born slightly different, and which is totally different than what Krakoa and their attitude with Krakoa is. Basically, we're a whole separate race. You're Homo sapiens. We're Homo superior, and so even though we look alike for the most part, we're totally different, which is a total 180 from where they've always made their stand, and that is, hey, we're normal, just like you. We're just born a little bit different." So don't necessarily like the way that Hickman has set that up, but again, it is probably going to stop. So Spider-Man Noir, number 3. So with the shutdown and everything, there was a lot of time between number 1 and number 2. I kind of wondered whether or not to pick up number 2. I was just trying to trim some of those new comic book day pickups, and decided, I guess, on a week W-E-E-K, to pick up number 2. Kind of liked it, and so I picked up number 3. And this is, of course, Spider-Man and Electro, at least in that universe. And so it's a pretty good story if you like gritty detective type deal, and you're a Spider-Man fan to boot. This is probably the story for you. I dare you to try to read it and not hear Nick Cage's voice when he talks. But anyway, it is fun. Oh, look, I was when I moved into this house, I totally remodeled it and included, tearing out all the windows and stuff. Well, the window didn't get sealed, and my comics are over there by my windows. So I was fixing to leave one day, and I happened to have my socks and not my shoes on. I stepped over there, and there was a water puddle. I was like, oh no. So luckily I found it wasn't enough to have damaged anything. It did wet my box, but not the comics. And so, yes, I have been there before. In my old house, that happened quite a few times, from where they walled in the carport, or the screen room rather. It never was done right, and so that door always leaked. Yeah, weather here been bad, rain. It hasn't been bad just yet. It hasn't been bad just yet, just kind of a steady rain. I can live with that. Yeah, so hopefully it don't get too bad down there. Who Dat? But So those were my pickups. Don't know what everybody else picked up this week, what everybody else thinks about some of the reads, some of the stuff that's going on. A lot of changes going on in DC. Um, and with Marvel, a lot of these changes that DC is going through now, Marvel already went through. Marvel went through when Disney bought them. But you can rest assured that Marvel is going to go through some more as Disney looks at AT&T and DC's model, seeing how that works, and seeing how they can squeeze more money out of Marvel in light of the shutdowns. They need more money elsewhere. They're not getting it from Disney World or Disneyland, and so they've got to get it from other places. What fuels Disney Plus is the IP and the content from the comics, and so they've got to get Marvel cranking back out some content in order to make things happen. Now, there's obviously a lot of content from years gone by, but it really doesn't all tie everything together. You don't get the synergies, if you will, if the comics are not doing it. And so that's why Disney's kept them around. But they're going to go through some more changes as well. And adaptations, evolution, whatever you want to call it. And some of it will be good and some of it will be bad. But we'll see. It would be really nice if somebody would do the Todd McFarlane Spawn thing and see how it works out and move everything back to $2.99. If they moved everything back to $2.99, I think that they would sell extra books. They might not make as much off of them, but hey, that's the Walmart philosophy, right? I only make 5 cents per widget, but I'm selling a billion widgets. They'll sell more books, and they'll get in hands of new people, which is the whole problem. Without the newsstands, you don't have those new people grabbing comics off the shelf when their parents take them to the grocery store. And so you got to figure out a way to get them into new hands, because the aging hands, they're going to buy them anyway, but are the new kids going to buy them? And that is key to their success. And the easy way to do it is to make it affordable. What do they do with dollar comics? All these True Believer comics that they're able to sell for $1 somehow, some way. They're able to sell them for $1. And, it might be a loss leader, but it's leading them to buy other stories with those characters. And so I usually pick up the True Believers if I have the original copy, or maybe if the original copy is a little too pricey, I don't want to pay for. But yeah, it is. Oh, everything, Lucas. Yeah, they bought out. Yeah, for sure. Magoo Fitzfarter, Madman Magoo. What is going on with you? Perry Comics. What's going on? What do you mean? And drop it in here. Yeah, Disney bought the whole kit and caboodle. I saw an internet meme the other day. It was really funny that if you could go back and Wars fans would do, and they're like, George, don't do it, and it showed him signing it over to Disney, and so, but I think that's why Star Wars is stepping back. They've part of the whole Disney deal, and they've made a lot of money, but the question is, could they have made more money if they just stuck with the script, not veered so far off? Yeah, you got to change things, adapt. Luke's got to finally die, and all that's got to move on. But do you do it in the way that you did? I really didn't have a problem with The Last Jedi. I read the book. I would have rather seen the fabled lightsaber battle to the death, like everybody else I think would have. From my understanding, Spectre, they are working on Indiana Jones, a movie. I think it has to do with Harrison Ford as well. But you can rest assured that once the movie comes out, if it does good, there will be plenty of merch available for that. But as far as Star Wars, the whole deal where now all of a sudden everybody can be a Jedi, or how Rey can just all of a sudden, without training at all, be able to use the Force. Just a little too much. I mean, I get it that she's Palpatine's granddaughter, and so she's strong with the Force. But hey, Anakin was the child of the Force, right? Um, and he wasn't that way. He still had to be trained. Yeah, he caught on to things, could do things better once taught, but he still had to be taught. That was kind of my deal with The Last Jedi, and they tried to make it all better with the last one, and some of it worked, and some of it was a little too forced. So I think they're going to back up and rely on properties that seem to work, like The Mandalorian. Hello, McFly. They look at The Mandalorian and how well it's done and how well it was received. It stayed true to the Star Wars mythos. And a lot of people liked it. So why don't you do more of that? So, it's pretty simple, but when you get people in there with a little too much power and they're more interested in pushing agendas than they selling product, then you'll get that a lot. But we are at 40 minutes, and we are at 40 minutes, and I do appreciate everybody for stopping by. I do want to take a moment to plug for the show Friday, which is already on. And if you hit the bell notification, you won't miss it. But Friday, I'm going to be giving away this. If you've commented in a recent video, if you want to make it stand out, you can put hashtag Gambit, but I read all the comments, so you don't have to terribly worry. But everybody is going to go that's done that and is a subscriber to the channel is going to go on the wheel to give away this puppy right here. And I will also be announcing what the next giveaway is going to be. And I've told you before, but I'll tell you again, and that is that it's going to be bigger than this one. It's a graded comic. It's a popular Marvel character, first appearance. So people can read into that all that they want, but it's going to be on that show. American Graffiti merch, Willow merch, Howard the Duck merch. Well, and Marvel owns Howard the Duck by virtue of, Disney owns it by virtue of Marvel. So yeah, they've got Howard the Duck both ways. And they did introduce Howard the Duck in Guardians of the Galaxy there. I think that they're working on getting Ron Howard to do some Disney Plus stuff with Willow. So American Graffiti, that's kind of niche, but look, anything that invokes nostalgia sells. And so you can rest assured they'll be coming out with American Graffiti pretty soon as well. But now that Disney's got Fox, good grief, they've got Aliens, they got Predator, they got Avatar. They talked about making like 6 Avatar movies because it had done so well, and then it never happened the second one. So they've got so much IP right now. They don't want to saturate it, the market with it. They want to space it out. So they do got Kevin Feige is obviously a genius to keep it all the balls juggling in the air. Battle of the Ducks. Well, Who Dat? I wonder if they're going to be putting that on Hulu, since they own the majority of Hulu. They can kind of make Hulu the more adult type deal and keep Disney Plus, pretty clean, because Disney does like to keep its image, and just kind of that's owned by Disney, but not really Disney, if that makes sense. And so Hulu will probably be the fall plot for there. Good morning. I hope everybody is well, and hope you are well as well. 2 boys and their pops. Howard versus Donald, Battle of the Ducks. Yes, that would be pretty funny. Pretty funny there. Now that Disney owns it all, they can do that kind of stuff. The crossover stuff. Like Batman versus Predator, people kind of specking on Batman versus Predator because it's never going to happen now. The Marvel and DC stuff, it's not going to happen. This day and age, there's more than to comic books. It's intellectual property. It's making movies. It's selling merch, and they're not going to help the other company sell merch. That's why Sony and Disney don't get along, because Sony wants to make the money and Disney does too. Disney doesn't like making Sony money. Morning all, William Smallwood. How are you? Yeah, well, things change from week to week, so who knows? They own like 80+% of Hulu now, and so at one time they talked about making that more the adult type deal because they have more than just Disney content on that, and so they can kind of keep it that way. And Disney has structured it with ESPN as well because they own that to have all streaming services where you get like a discount if you get them all together. Um, yeah, yeah. So you keep the name, even though everybody behind the scenes knows. Um, yeah, the days of amalgam, unfortunately, are gone because nobody wants to, help the other one deal there. But so if you have not already, please go ahead and go comment, subscribe to the channel on one of my videos, recent videos, subscribe to the channel. And so you can be entered to win because Friday I'm going to be giving that away and announcing what the next giveaway is going to be. If you are in the area of the storms, I hope that you batten down the hatches, got your boat ready, and your buckets and pails, and hopefully you don't have to use any of them, and that the bad weather will pass you. Uh, and oh man, look, two boys and the pops getting ready to go on a pop hunt and first comic book hunt today. So jelly, man, so jelly. It's raining too much for me to do too much hunting today. Don't want to get the comics wet. But I do appreciate everybody, the 17 of you that are watching right now. I do appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to share the channel because I will tell you that the next giveaway will be at 600 subscribers. And so the faster we get there, the quicker you will be able to enter to win the next prize. That will be announced on Friday. And everybody stay safe out there. Until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.